Okay, so we finna go over a little class here today. We finna learn some shit. For the people who ain't got in yet, I'm gonna try to do some invites, and I don't know if they're gonna let me, but I'm gonna do as many as they let me. I'm gonna take my time and do these, and we're gonna start with the timeline. Y'all gotta get a couple of things clear in your head about what they doing and how this game is being played or been played. The gig is up, right? So we ain't Africans, but they tell us we from Africa, right? We was already here, but they tell us they brought us here. They don't think that we know who we is and where we came from. They don't think that we recognize the real on the land, right? So I'm just gonna go. We finna do a little history lesson according to the narrative they gave us, and then I'm gonna point out some key points in the narrative that's gonna make everybody be like, "What the fuck did they just do to us?" Right? So we know that on this land they call this God's country, right? Why do they call this God's country? Now hold that thought fixed in your mind for a minute. The Masonic lodges have members that's put out hundreds of books about the secret destiny of the United States, according to divine providence, or what they call God's law. Now, we finna dig up some dirt. Now, we gonna go over a little history lesson. This is the narrative they want us to stay on the timeline of. So, around 7 AD, some guy was born, and he lived 33 years, and they killed him. They named him Jesus. But J wasn't no J in the letters at the time in the Hebrew nor in the Greek. Right? New Testament written in Greek, Old Testament written in Hebrew. Right? So in 325, so now that's 325. So if he was born in 7 AD, he lived 33 years, right? That's 40 AD. Not until 325 did something form called the Nicene Council. Now, the Nicene Council was formed in Rome, right? So, who the fuck is Rome? Who is the Roman soldiers? Keep this in mind when you ponder this story. Who the fuck is Rome? In the BC period, they had a conqueror in Greece by the name of Alexander. Now, the history books say that Alexander was chosen by God, right? And it was from Alexander's conquest of the Indus Valley did they establish a methodology for ruling, and the doctrine is called the Republic, right? So when you go study the Republic, in the history of the Republic, it was pontificated upon in the what they used to call it when they used to have a word. Before it was called debate, it was called rhetoric. So in the rhetoric, the rhetoric that was being tossed around on the Senate floors of Rome was called a republic. Now, they call this government over here a democratic republic. Republic means ruled by law. Democracy supposed to mean ruled by the people. A democratic republic is the people establish a law that governs the entirety of the land, right? So now, in Rome, They changed the gender of God. Well, right, what the fuck you mean in Rome? They changed the gender of God. Which God gender was switched? Why did they switch that one? And how can you show me? It's real simple. They tell us we in hell already, right? Hell is Helen. Helen settled Greece before the Etruscans settled Rome. I'm gonna let that sink in. The Etruscan, the Hellenists were Egyptians of the I-10 priests, the same family and blood as Tut, right? Same family and blood as King Tut. All right, except in like 12 BC to 7 BC, somewhere up in there, you got this love affair and this queen named Cleopatra trying to hold on to the rulership rights of Egypt as Rome is advancing to conquer. So she got two dudes she's dealing with, Mark Antony, and she's dealing with I forgot that motherfucker name. Brutus. No, Caesar. Julius Caesar. One of them fucking Caesars, them gay ass motherfuckers. Anyway, so Cleopatra trying to hold on to the matriarchy. Right now, when Rome get the control of the deities, right? They change Helen. They changed Helen from a female in Greece to a male in Rome. All you gotta do is put them side by side. Roman pantheon, Greek pantheon. The Greek culture is called Hellenistic culture. The Roman culture is called Greco-Roman culture. Because Rome conquered Greece, but they put Greece first in order to delude the minds of the people into believing that Greece conquered Rome. Why would they want to do that? All right, so now, we're just going to follow the narrative they're giving us. I'm just going over the story in broad strokes. Because this shit detailed in a motherfucker. I'm using broad strokes. All right, now, 325, right? Subtract 40 from 325, you get 285 years since the so-called crucifixion took place. That's if he was born in 7 AD. Now, the true math is the key to unlock the Christ code, but that's not where we at right now. So in 325, they assembled the Nicene Council. They got all of the leaders in one room, right? These leaders were mystics, priests, others they call pagan ritual leaders, basically coven leaders, male and female. But the council erased any female that was in there. So you won't never know that it was women in the Nicene Council unless you can remote view it. Now, in the Nicene Council, they established something that they call the Nicene Creed. Look that shit up. Now, this is in the 300s. The Etruscans is taking over, they establishing Rome in Europe. Once Rome is established, Europe go into what they call the Dark Ages. Now remember, they said that the Moors civilized Europe. They taught them art, science, music. They taught them philosophy, religion. They penned Latin as a language. Greek was penned by Egyptian priests. Latin was penned by Etruscan Moorish priests. I understand the difference. Okay, now, they got a scholarly language now, and 725 or the 700s in the AD period. So we're talking 400 years of Catholic Church domination before they can get enough stronghold in Europe to bring them in mass. So the history books tell us the Moors, the Etruscans, went into Europe in the Dark Ages around 700, and they occupied Europe all the way up until 1611 when their final stronghold over Europe was broken. This is the story. This is the history they gave us. Now, in this story that they telling us, a couple of things is happening over this from the 700s to the 1600s. So we're talking almost 1,000 years, 900 and some years of occupation by the Moors, right? Why in the fuck did they get kicked out of Europe if they were civilizing these people? And where in the fuck did they go? And why did they go there? Right? Nobody not asking none of them questions. They just following the narrative that they gave us. Okay, so we're going to follow the narrative. In 1611, they finally got the stronghold broke. And they kicked them all out. Right? Why are they kicking these people out of Europe? What are they doing over there after you get done civilizing somebody? Now they so civilized, how did they kick them out? Right? Ask the question. How did they get the Moors kicked out of Europe? Spanish motherfucking Inquisition, the motherfucking, all of the rebellions to the crown in Europe caused them to put in what they call a fictitious royal family, a cat's paw, a figurehead, a face, a front. Where did these motherfuckers go? All of them didn't leave Europe. Many of them end up going into seclusion, right? In the Depression Mountains with all of the motherfucking gold. What the fuck is Depression Mountains? If you go back, there was an empire that was called Prussia in the north of Europe. The Prussian Empire is where you get your Khazarians, mulattoes, Moorish, European hybrid children from. Right? Now, you got to understand what's taking place all over the world at the time. At this time, Rome is fighting Huns, Rome is fighting Mongolians, and Rome is still fighting off the Babylonian empires. Like 36 motherfuckers. So now all this shit going on, they capturing POWs in warfare. From the Huns, from the Mongolians, and from the Hindus of Hindustan that wasn't India yet. Now, in the middle of this, in 1492, some motherfucker named Christopher Columbus supposed to discover America. I'm gonna let y'all marinate on that. Some European in 1492 named Christopher Columbus supposed to discover America. It's a problem with that. I'm just trying to let that sink in. In 1492, the Spanish crown sent somebody named Christopher Columbus to find an alternate trade route to Hindustan that wasn't called India yet. That sink in. Because they tell us in the history books, in the textbooks in the school, that when Christopher Columbus came, he was looking for an alternate trade route and he got lost and thought he was in India. That don't make no sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes zero amount of sense. First of all, Pietro del Negro is a Moorish navigator. And the navigators can tell you where you at in the middle of the ocean by the position of the stars without seeing no land. But they telling us Columbus got lost. Not only are they telling us he got lost, they telling us that when he finally found land, he just struck up on some land. We know it today as Hispaniola was what they called it. When he landed there, he named it Hispaniola. Today is Dominica, Haiti. Okay. So now, Columbus got lost, is what they telling us. And he thought he was in India. How is this possible when India is not India yet? This in your textbook, in your school, that they teaching your children is bullshit. Columbus got lost. He got lost. And in the course of him getting lost, he thought he was in India and called the people Indians. But the problem is, India wasn't India yet. Can anybody see what I'm saying here? Columbus got lost and he said he was in India. But India wasn't called India yet. What the fuck is these people talking about? This the story they gave us now. This the narrative. Now, he said when he got here, he met some copper-colored people. Now, that sink in. In his diaries, because they will print that shit out. They got the book. They got all of his log from when well, most of it is in there, but some of the shit they wanted to keep secret, they left it out. He thought he was in India, but India wasn't named India yet. But we were known as Indinka. We was known as Inca. But we wasn't known as no India. They called us Indico, which became known as Indigo, as we refer to the children now as Indigo children. But it wasn't no fucking India. Where this nigga think he going? Are y'all not catching that part? Okay, let's go on with the narrative. So once he got over here, he went back to Europe and he told Ferdinand and Isabella he discovered a new world. Okay, I got a person. Somebody want to come in. I'm gonna let him in and see what we got going on here.
Let the cream go. Go get a 2-piece sauce in that cocoa bean looking shit.
You ain't all the way clear yet. Wait, you ain't all the way clear yet. You got to clear up some more. Where your camera at? Turn your camera on. See, this the bullshit they be on social media. So I'm gonna keep on talking, right? Yeah, yeah, they dropped her out the call. Try to log back in if you're trying to get back in. Now they telling us, this is the story they want us to believe. Now you gotta remember, they can't fool us no more because we know the story. I'm going over it with y'all right now. Pietro del Negro, in order to be a navigator, right? The navigators of the day were the most highly educated non-priest class. But many of them were also priests. right? The navigators, the ones who know how to read the stars, map the stars to what's going on Earth, right? They were the highest form of education that was not a priest. And many of them were also priests. Now, catch 22, you starting to get it. He was sent by niggas. He wasn't sent by niggas. He was brought. Pietro del Negro is the name of the nigga that brought him over here. Right? His name is, it ain't hard. They call him Peter the Black in English. In Latin and Spanish, they call him Pietro del Negro. Right? Peter the Little Black. Sometimes they call him Pietro del Negrito. But no matter how you cut it, he was a black motherfucking skiing motherfucker named Peter. Right? So that's not a problem. But when Columbus get back to Europe, he reported to Isabella and Ferdinand, I discovered a whole new world. This is the beginning, right here, the beginning of the New World Order. Because watch what happened. Immediately upon returning and telling Isabella and Ferdinand of their discovery of the so-called New World, Isabella and Ferdinand told them, don't tell nobody until we get some flags all up and down that motherfucker. Right? But the word got out. When the word got out, something happened. Right? Something happened when the word got out. Y'all remember the history, what they told us? Oh, don't worry about it. We got this shit covered. So once they got over there and they start spreading the word about the New World, that Columbus and the nigga Peter the Negro, they discovered the New World. Now, first of all, let me stop right here. Let me tell you. So the history says that Christopher Colombo, or his name was Cristobal Colombo, was a what you call that? Sephardic Jew. Now, this became disturbing to me because we got three main classes of Jew in modern era. We got Ashkenazi, we got Sephardi, and we got Khazarian. And not one of these motherfuckers, not one, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, or Khazarian is one of the 12 children or tribes of Israel. Go look it up. Who the fuck is these motherfuckers? I already gave y'all the spoiler on the Khazarians. Right? Now, they call the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi are known as the Spanish Jew and the French Jew in modern colloquial terminology. Both of them are Latin subcultures. French is a subculture language of Latin. Latin is the parent language of French, Spanish, Italian, and Dutch, and a couple more. Latin is the parent language. So the French, the Italians, and the Spaniards are connected by linguistics that was written by Etruscan Moors. All right, now that y'all get this part, when they all start coming over here, who came first? Who came first in mass? They were called conquistadors. Break the word down and translate it. Conquest, Tudor. The Tudor royal family. Look them up. Google who are the Tudors. Tudor. It's an entire royal family. I see you. I I see you, Simone. So they are these royal families, Tudors, right? These are a bigger family, an older family than what you call your Merovingians. Your Merovingians is a subset under the Tudors. All royal families from the gentry came by way of Tudors in Europe. So, the royal families became fractured when they got kicked out of Europe. Where the motherfuckers go? Okay, so now, what happened when they got over here? We know they came over here. So they tried to masquerade as the people of the land. Their philosophy and their thinking is this. If we can keep these people from ever realizing who they are and their blood ties to the land, we can just say we them. And we can say they came from somewhere else. And if we tell them they came from somewhere else long enough, they bound to believe it. So who's writing this story? Who's telling this motherfucking narrative for us to see it as if we came on a ship? Columbus came on a ship, right? The Mayflower, them was ships. But I can't find no slave ship. I ain't the only one been looking. Malachi York was looking for a slave ship. He couldn't find one either. Dane Calloway been looking for a slave ship. He can't find one. Nation of Islam been looking for a slave ship, and they can't find one. But we can find immigrant ships. We can find immigrant ships from Europe that also stopped in Africa because it's in their log. I didn't make the shit up. It's in their log. They wrote that shit. So we know they pathological liars. So do we believe them or do we don't? They wrote that we came on ships. My mama told me we ain't come on no fucking ships. She don't know what them people talking about. Well, who is these motherfuckers that came on the ship? Those are what you call your black people, BLAQ. It's a legal terminology and a legal classification of a subset of a group of people. And it ain't got nothing to do with their skin color. Right? They the same motherfuckers kicked these motherfuckers out of Europe. So if they kicked them out of Europe, why are they coming over here to the great melting pot? Right? And what's this one drop of blood doctrine? Right? You own it, Shatoya, Moors. But it's two kinds of Moors. Because the legalese was used to confuse the issue at hand. What the fuck you talking about, Rod? The legalese was used to confuse the issue. Okay. So in our culture and how we have developed in these here so-called United States of America, the legalese is the language lawyers talk. Medicalese is the language doctors talk. Colloquial language is the language commoners talk. And then you have what you call political jargon, which is the gentry. These four classifications of royal hierarchy. When you know the medicalese, the legalese, the gentralese, and the colloquial language, they can't trick you no more. Trickery out the door. Right? So now we got these motherfuckers telling us we ain't from here. They contracted with what we call Dawes Roll Indians. If your family traced back to the Dawes Roll, that means either two things. Either your family was inserted to steal a birthright, or your family was injected to remove a birthright. The Dawes Roll Indians were the ones who were actually Mongolian, Han, and Hindustan or Hindus that was amalgamated and brought over here as the servant class of the Moors. You have to go back to the treaties now. What treaties? Now I ain't talking about no North American treaties. I'm talking about how did they get Kublai Khan to know that they was at peace? They trading of slaves was part of the peace arrangement, right? The trading of slaves was part of the arrangement in order to establish a peace. You would trade slaves, women, you would trade wealth, you would marry you would marry the son of the king to the son of the emperor to the daughter of the emperor in order to tie the royal families together for political purposes. Are y'all listening to this shit? Okay, now, when they came over here, they came with slaves. They called them indentures. Look this shit up. They had also went to war with Ireland and Scotland, right? So they had slaves from Ireland, Scotland, Mongolian slaves, Han slaves, and Hindu slaves. They bring all these motherfuckers over here with them. Where did they go? They used them to masquerade as us, to make us think we somebody other than who we are, right? So they took the contract and wrote treaties and agreements with Dawes Roll Indians that they brought over here with them, with no right and no ties to the land, right? They not smarter than us. They start killing off our elders, but on the way out, our elders would initiate a Dawes Roll Indian in order to preserve a particular piece of the history so that one of us niggas can put this shit back together. So the Dawes Roll Indians been ceremonially replaying our history because they don't like the motherfuckers that brought them over here. They ain't friends. They never was friends. And they thought that they slave was going to remain mentally in bondage. But we don't play that shit over here. We don't play that shit over here. It's just like right now. Social media. I'm watching the same people talking about the same shit I'm talking about get the same treatment to shut us the fuck up. I can name them. Right? They don't want how you say his name? Because I don't want to say it wrong. Kalai Amin Ra. They don't want him telling you you ain't black. You ain't black. If black means you came from Africa, you ain't black. We was already here. Now, since they came over here and brought some Africans with them as well, we might have some African mixed with us, but our beef ain't with them motherfuckers. Because if you look in the conditions, they just as bad or worse off than us. So we can't be mad at them. It ain't their fault they didn't do this shit because they got it done to them. So they had a whole scramble for Africa to divide Africa up after they got done dividing us up. Right? Who did it? Who did what? Lewis and Clark Expedition, Louisiana Purchase is where the great motherfucking switch take place. The French bailing out because the gig is up. The English is stronghold in the what we call New England territory, which was northeastern United States, which is the lower part of the country, not the upper. We were southern oriented. South is up, north is down. As soon as you look at the map upside down and you ask yourself, why would they tell me that the map was the other way around? Your brain start reorganizing the information on its own. On its own. Yeah, I seen what they did to Rashad Jamal. Cut his line. I was watching it. I want to tell y'all this before I forget. I was watching Kalai, and everybody was thinking that the optics on his phone was fucking up because his dreads started sparkling like they had glitter in them, right? I got an old video. If you go back, you can look this shit up, and I'm not making this shit up. I said, as soon as these niggas start waking up, they dreads gonna start doing shit. They gonna be able to shoot fireballs of electricity out of their goddamn dreads. The nigga almost came all the way online. I'm watching the video. He thinking it's the optics. And ain't the optics, nigga, that's you. Nigga, that's your God form waking up, for real waking up. His shit with the sparkling and shit. See, he from a different tribe than me. My tribe, our hair, we got the same texture hair, but mine don't come from those antennas. Mine come in the face. When mine switch, my face switch. Right? It looked like all of the lines in my face will smooth out. You won't see none of the lines. All of these lines smooth out. Right? And then it's like a radiance that come over the face. But dude, he was in his God form today. Yes. So if y'all didn't catch it, he probably got it on his page. Go check it out. Y'all can see what I'm talking about. When I say the motherfuckers, like when they tell you that Medusa's hair was snakes, them was dreadlocks. She was tearing their ass up with them dreadlocks. Because each one of them is an antenna. And she can download, separate, and isolate them to the point where they can lock on the individuals and shoot lightning bolts at their ass. I ain't bullshitting. These niggas were some bad motherfuckers before they went to sleep. That's why I've been fucked up since birth trying to figure out how to tell y'all to put this shit back together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look. All skin folks ain't kin folks. Right? We got that understood. So we don't even have to dwell on that no more. Now, we ain't looking for skin folks. We looking for kin folks now. When I did the video yesterday and I identified these people, I didn't identify them clout chasing. I'm identifying the ones that they want us to shut the fuck up. They want us to shut the fuck up. So let me tell you how they was holding us in bondage. So then I got to show you how we use our bondage chain as the solution to break free. Because niggas don't understand that shit. This is going to be the hardest thing for you to understand for it to make sense. But if you follow the narrative, it's going to make perfect sense. They told us that we came on ships, and then this was the country for these European settlers. First of all, they colonizers. The colonizers have no right to the land superior to the people of the land, period. The immigrant has no land right until he amalgamate his blood with the blood of the people on the land. Very two critical points, right? The blood and the right is required to assume the throne. The throne can only be assumed by putting the great mother back on her throne where you receive the honor. But you can't put the great mother back on her throne unless you know Who are those 3 regional chiefs that's supposed to run the land so that they can put the mother back on the throne by calling their soldiers to arms in a moment's notice? Our people don't remember the culture, right? So they telling it to you in hip hop. They was telling it to you in the blues. They told it to you in jazz, but you couldn't get it off the unspoken word. So they put it in spoken word. Gil Scott-Heron told you, right? The last poets. All these motherfuckers been telling you the secrets in plain sight. Winter in America. What does that mean? The Scorpion King is here in America. Because where the Scorpion King is, that's where the winter at. And the winter produces a winner, W-I-N-N-E-R. And you can only win at the conclusion of the race, crossing the finish line. That's what you call a 33-degree York right, 32-degree Scottish right. Put them together, and then you got a 65-degree purple right. And 6 and 5 is 11. And 11 is November. But November means 9. The fuck just happened? We just unlocked the motherfucking key, right? So when we put all this shit together, we understand where the deception is coming from. All right, so now they have to give us the opportunity to discover the deception. Where is it written? Where is it codified? My grandmama got struck by lightning, right? That tells me to look for the lightning strike everywhere I see one. The guy who was discovered carrying the protocols of the learned elders of Zion got struck by lightning. Guy talking to me on 2 sides of the land. He got struck by lightning in Europe. But the document that he held was called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, or the Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion. It had a 6-point star on it. Now, who is these motherfuckers and where is they at? Today, you know them as your Jewish Defense League and your Anti-Defamation League that uses the fist, the same black fist that we use for black power, because they look like us. But they put people that don't look like us in the leadership in the front row so you can always rely on skin color to keep you confused, dazed, and unable to identify the enemy. I see the black devil just like I see the white one. Right? It ain't about what they look like. It's about how they move, what's in their heart. Once you get into their heart space with the truth, then you knock around that motherfucker, because those who ain't got no truth in them gonna rebel against the truth. They ain't got no truth in them. They gotta rebel against that shit. All right, now. So they come over here, and for some reason, shit don't go sweet, because they had something that you call a civil war. It couldn't have been a civil war. First, you had an American Revolution. It couldn't have been an American Revolution because wasn't no goddamn America. Right? But they say it was the American Revolution, and they rebelled against Britain. And in the process of rebelling against Britain, they established the 13 colonies, which is actually the 13 banks. 13 banks. Look up on your map, put in central banks. There's 13 central banks. They're going to identify 12 because the Federal Reserve Bank is what you call the master bank. That's Jacob himself. The other ones is the other 12 tribes, right? Yo, Levites, Midianites, Ammon, all them other motherfucking tribes of Israel. The Federal Reserve, the central bank, is the parent bank. That's why it's not counted as number 13, but it's the 13th bank. Each bank is owned privately by one of the 13 royal families of Europe that got kicked out. Go back to Billy the Kid. Why was this motherfucker robbing shit? Right? This is what they not telling you. Billy the Kid, first of all, he wasn't yellow. He wasn't pink. He wasn't tan or sandy brown. He might have been a shade lighter than me. Right? And Frank and Jesse James, all of these bank robberies was to make the family banks close. What the fuck is you talking about the family banks close? Every clan had a family bank. Big Mama was the banker. When they tell you the story, they make it look like the bank was in the town and had bars up and shit to keep it from getting robbed. That's bullshit. Big Mama had that shit in her motherfucking satchel. When you go to Big Mama house, she reach in her little satchel and give you a block of gold. It'll like this. And she had mountains of them motherfuckers because everybody kept their shit at Big Mama house. Big Mama was called the Dark Mother, right? And her color is gold. Black and gold, motherfucker. This the Vice Lord line. In the Red Lodge, which is the mother line, got a favorite daughter, number 88. Number 88 is the city queen. Unless she get one up by Empress on the 89 flip. Right? So, once you get this understood and make the shit fit, it put it all together. They've been fucking with me since the beginning. I done seen it glitch up quite a few times. But I'm just trying to hold the course until I can get this out so I can catch us up to today's unraveling of the jargon. Okay, so in the meantime, they take this these bank robberies and they use them, right? They use them for an excuse to centralize the banking system. Because Big Mama will write, my Big Mama will write your Big Mama a note. And they gotta have her mark on it. Right? And if it don't got her mark on it, your Big Mama not gonna honor the note. It's IOU. This is the origin of paperbacks, greenbacks, right? Money. These IOUs that they would write to each other would also have a tribal insignia. That's right, Free Larry Hoover. They also have a tribal insignia so that Big Mama know how much money did one tribe owe to the bank. And they would always, use them to switch the money, and they would do an accounting where everybody got to account for the money in their coffers that is on the IOU. In other words, when it's time to pay up, everybody paying up. We didn't do credit. The IOU was not credit. It was the transferring of money without carrying the actual money, which gave rise to the reserve notes. Right? So when they started robbing Big Mama house, because they killed off all her boys. See, that they couldn't get to Big Mama house till they started robbing all of her boys, start killing off all of her sons and her grandsons and her nephews, because we ain't do that shit. Big Mama house always been off. It's always been a neutral zone. I'm beefed out with a motherfucker, but if I see him at Big Mama house, we both giving each other a pass. We not bringing that shit to Big Mama house because we got to answer to every clan under Big Mama's jurisdiction. Big Mama became known as the grand matriarch of the land when she had the most matriarchs on the land under her direct command, Mother Khadijah, Nation of Islam. The culture hasn't changed. The perception of the culture has changed. Our understanding of our people's position in the culture is diminished. This tribal land, every square inch, every square inch of this shit is tribal land. They told me we got conquered. We might as well give it up. Give it up. Let it go. Fuck them. They won. Go along to get along. Tap dance with these niggas from here on out. Go along to get along. I don't know how to do that shit. I am not good at go along to get along. I'm not really good at getting along. I even fall out with the people that I love when they on some bullshit. But it don't mean that I got hard feelings. It just means I got a low tolerance for bullshit. So I stay in the cave. But this shit is ridiculous. So now, all of the ones like me telling y'all what's up, let Dane Calloway know. I'm here to make him think. I'm here to make him think on a higher level than what he already thinking on. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do that because he a bad motherfucker. But I'm gonna try. I'm supposed to make him think. I'm supposed to make him go back and look some shit up. Because he'd agree it. I'm just a motherfucking medicine man. So if I can get Dane to get to know where the records at, he can claim the records by public notice. He ain't got to do no paperwork. We do everything out in the open by public notice, and they do everything behind the doors in secret. That secret squirrel shit is what got us fucked up. Because we thinking that nigga with the apron on and them white gloves going in the lodge is a member. And he running that bitch with all them pale motherfuckers in there who is reaping all of the rewards for keeping his cover. They reaping all the rewards for keeping this motherfucker covered. I guess that's what they mean by the blood of Jesus. I guess. Now look, we didn't come on those ships. We never identified each other by classification of skin color, geographical location of origin, or we never identified anybody from political views. We tribesmen. We tribe up. That's what the fuck we do. And the biggest tribes on the land is responsible for the most security on the land. Y'all calling them gangbangers, right? Anybody know them brothers in Detroit, the Detroit 300, that just declared war on the gangs? I need y'all to tell them motherfuckers this. Y'all starting exactly how every gang started until you get infiltrated. Ain't no, you declaring war on tribes, nigga. We getting it off the dirt, off the fat of the land. We always have, always will. Everything they threw at us to oppress us, we used it to come up. They thought the crack was gonna kill our community. We got rich off that shit with them. Right? I'm gonna save it. We got rich off that shit with them. They thought that we was gonna stay drug addicts and shit. We started coming up off that shit. They put us in prison in mass. We turned that motherfucker into universities and monasteries. The ones of us that's about the right shit. Yeah, the Pilgrims the ones came on ship. John Wayne kept telling you. You know? Yes, West Side, Big Tookie. Look, Tookie was in cryostasis. They was not allowed to kill him, but they was allowed to put a soul on ice. He was a brave motherfucker because you not freezing me. We gonna tear this bitch up because you not freezing me. I hate being cold. And they froze this motherfucker for some years. Thawed him out. Right now, all his mental faculties ain't back together because he lost some brain cells with that shit. So he be standing there kind of looking in the daze a little bit. But he is aware. He talking about fearless. Nigga, you not freezing me. Fuck the dumb shit. We gonna shoot it out, fight it out, scrap it out, stab it out, baseball bat it out, but you not freezing me. I'm not doing that one. But I guess when he faced with the opportunity of cryostasis or 6 feet, I probably would have took cryostasis. But that's some brave shit. I don't know about doing that one. I don't think I could do it. I ain't that brave. I'm not scared of shit, but I'm not brave enough to let a motherfucker freeze me, because I don't trust the motherfucker to thaw me back out. So, yeah, just like Demolition Man. So the codes is in the movies. It's in the books of the black nationalists, Soul on Ice, Soul on Fire, Eldridge Cleaver. Eldridge Cleaver gave the gorilla knock off of Cleaver as a tomahawk. The tomahawk means straight up the middle, right? So when Eldridge Cleaver dropped Soul on Ice, one of the best black nationalist books ever written, with his raping ass, and then he turned around on top of that and turned into a born-again Christian, and then had Soul on Fire, which was the worst black nationalist book I ever read. But the titles of the books was to tell a story on the West Coast knock. And the West Coast knock was answered in the motherfucking series of events in the music. Because Eazy-E got the left bump off a Lethal Injection from Ice Cube, off of a Suge Knight pulling the covers off of a backdoor deal to execute Eazy-E by a Lethal Injection, but the Lethal Injection that was preserved for Tukey would be a Freeze, a Mr. Freeze off of a Schwarzenegger, a swarthy nigga. And a swarthy nigga is a light-skinned Tony Moore nigga, right? And a light-skinned Tony Moore nigga that was born in Austria under the breeding program of Adolf Hitler, right? And Adolf Hitler said World War III already started, because soon as you niggas find out who the fuck I'm fighting, y'all gonna be fighting the same motherfuckers, and then y'all gonna understand my plight. And my motherfucking outlaw name is Morpheus Hitler, the bitch nigga cleanser, because I ain't got no problem addressing none of them bitch ass niggas that's in our way. This is why I tell y'all every day is another day to put another celebrity on blast. Don't stop putting them motherfuckers on blast until they start saying what we need them to say. Free Larry Hoover. That's it. Yes, that's why Schwarzenegger played Mr. Freeze in Batman. Now, the funny thing about Batman is Bruce Wayne in a mental institution, and all of the villains is his alter egos and his struggle to overcome the dark side of the self at Arkham Asylum. And Mr. Freeze was one of the characters in Arkham Asylum that was put in there in order to tell Batman that they froze somebody. And when you look at the symbols, it's off the cigar flip that Suge got on the red suit with the cigar in the same pose as Schwarzenegger and Mr. Freeze Blue with the cigar on the mirror flip, to tell me that they froze Tukey, right? Off of an Ice Cube, Lethal Injection. Ice Cube mean froze. Lethal Injection, Death Row. Death Row was because Tukey was on Death Row. Tukey got soldiers on both sides of the color spectrum, because when he started the Crips, by default he started the Bloods, because the Bloods was the defense for the Crips, to keep the Crips in check. Right? If you don't keep the Crips in check, they run the whole country by now. So the Bloods was created to keep the Crips in check. That's to keep them from overspilling the mountain. What mountain? The Rockies, motherfucker. And Rocky was with Bullwinkle. And the Rocky Mountains is the divider between the Amaru and the Mississippians. Right? That's why Tupac is Tupac Amaru. He the motherfucking chief from Alaska into South America on the west of the Rockies, going down into Texas into Mexico. And the other side, the Mississippians, right?
Morpheus Mysticus Megas is the chief from the Louisiana territories all the way going into Greenland and Iceland. The North Gate, the Cold Gate, Hell, the Bottom Gate, the Devil, the Wicked One with the pitchfork, the Red Sun born to the Ice Princess. Come on, man. Y'all don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. This our shit. We got to get back on track with our shit. Malachi said for years, I got to get these stories straight in your head so y'all can see clearly what the fuck going on. Right? So, all of us similarly situated that understand the problem are under the same attack on this bullshit social media. We on social media because we do shit by public notice. I hate social media with a thriving passion. If I could blow this shit up and be done with it once and for all, I would have been did it. But social media becomes the most viable tool for us to keep spreading the word. And as we begin to understand how to straighten the story out, what's the narrative? Get to the book, Protocols of Zion. Get the book by Neely Fuller, The United Independent Compensatory Code for Breaking the Chains of White Supremacy. Put them side by side. Everything that they doing in the protocols, use Neely Fuller to counter it. Everything they doing in the protocols, use Neely Fuller to counter it. Stand on your own 2 feet. Under your own vine and fig tree. The name of the book is Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion. That is the handbook for our oppressors to use to oppress us. Dr. Neely Fuller wrote our remedy to combat the oppressor's oppression. And it's called United Independent Compensatory Code / system for breaking the chains of white supremacy / I think it's slavery. So, and he got another one called the Codified Word Guide, where you get to understand how they use the words to still push their agenda in our face. Right? It's another book called Unlocking the Word Code Racism or something like that. But all these books is like, and everybody look like me ought to have a book by Kwanzaa Kunjufu called State of Emergency. If you look like me, this is where we're working out of. The first chapter in that book is what we're working out of right now. This is what we trying to fix. We already know where all the information at. If you want to know the psychology of the ones oppressing us, Bobby E. Wright, Psychopathic Racial Personality. If you want to know what made them that way, Iceman Inheritance. Right? All of it is accessible now. They tore our shit down. Destruction of Black Civilization, Chancellor Williams. They stole it. You must return it. Yep. The Return of the Ancient Ones by Empress Verdiasi Tiara Gostinel Bey, Empress of the Moorish Nation. Put the motherfuckers out there on blast. They acknowledged their motherfucking treaties and how they lied, and then they had to give her the shit back. Dr. Malachi Z. York, let's set the record straight. You can't go wrong with no new YBN reading material written by York. Also, what's the other brother name? The Journey Home Group, the Marcus Project, is in the Art and Science of Thinking. Get that shit. all of your religion, your ancient spiritual practices, we wasn't religious. We never been religious. And they use religion to capture us by using our spiritual perception as a bondage. But our spiritual practices from the Kemetic schools is in Florida, Muwata Ashby, Sema Yoga Institute. I'm telling y'all where everything is. So y'all don't have to believe me. You can go check this shit out. You got sister in New Orleans. You got the largest repository of indigenous Vadum culture is a so-called Jewish lady named Catherine Yorenwood, and she got Lucky Mojo Curio out of California. She got tons of information on just on the website. If Muada actually wasn't no point, I wouldn't be telling them. For those in the Philadelphia area, look for Reverend Ray Haggins. If you in D.C., well, oh man, I can't remember that preacher name. But they all telling you the story. The Olmec magic is concealed in the practices of Mexican culture. So look, I don't want to get too much into this, but let's say one of us look like me, go to dinner, and we watching the Mexicans. We go over a Mexican cookout. They're gonna be doing all our shit, but it's gonna be covered up by the shit they gave us. I have to tell it to y'all like that because y'all gotta know how to see it without seeing it. They're gonna be doing all our shit at the Puerto Rican cookout under the pretenses of a Catholic system. But they're going to be doing our shit, the original shit from the Boricuas and the Arawaks down there. They got the shit. We just not perceptive enough to see where it's at. The conjure rites from New Orleans is concealed in what we call the American Methodist Episcopal Church, the AME Church, because we couldn't practice openly our traditions, so we had to conceal it in they shit, right? When the motherfucking elders from the AME come fucking with you and they talking that Jesus shit, just tell them niggas to bump straight 3 times. Just say it, space it out, bump straight, nigga. You ain't keep talking. He still ain't talking right. Bump straight, nigga. Bump fucking straight. Now he gonna start telling all of the truth. And I ain't gonna start telling you all of the truth because you can put him on blast. TD Jakes, he know what's up. He know what's up. That nigga's trying to bump straight so hard. He been telling so much truth in the last year and a half. I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened, Mr. Jakes. Oh, I forgot. We blew your shit up, nigga. We blew your shit up. Told you we was gonna do it. See, this how you get their attention. When these niggas think when they think they bigger than God because they got a big ass congregation and they take them fat collections up, don't touch them. Show them they can be touched by the divine. So they tried to end my video prematurely. And they still, look, it's finna log me out, y'all. I'm not trying to log out, but this motherfucker keep malfunctioning, so. But I'm gonna tell y'all, the Cubans got their shit back. Right now, we waiting on this Sweetwater ceremony oddities in Florida for the sister who gave her life to win the Haitian Revolution. As soon as she get honored, all doors start closing on the enemy at every angle. This is the hold up. In truth, is we got one major conjure still open, but it's in the sisters is on the job. They got a date set, and they gonna close that Haitian conjure out. It's gonna bring the whole white man world crumbling down, and y'all gonna see these motherfuckers for what they worth. They're not gonna be able to do anything about it. Our job right now is for me to talk to Rashad Jamal and show the people that it's not us. It's them pushing the narrative behind the scenes. We just see through it now. The first one has to be done in Florida because that's where the priestess came, and Florida is the finish line because that's the trunk of the elephant, and the trunk of the elephant sounds the alarm in all of our conjures. Flip your map upside down and look at it again. Right? So she came to Florida. Phase one is to put Haiti itself on notice because if the homeland don't honor her and return her home with high honors, it will sink into the ocean. But the Haitians is on the job, so I'm not even worried about it no more. If y'all have seen me a couple of months ago, I was panicking about Haiti because I didn't think that we would find any assistance for the Haitians. And then the sisters stepped up and they said, we need more information. Explain this shit to us. That's right, free King Hoover, my motherfucking chief. So now that they putting it all together and they getting some heavyweight sisters with them, I'm like motherfucking James Cleveland. I ain't no ways tired and I ain't no ways worried. Right? So I think I done told y'all enough. So let me fast forward a little bit. So how did we figure this shit out? The first motherfucker to drag they shit into the public domain was named Prince Hall and his cohort, Absalom Jones, formed what we know of today as the Prince Hall Masons, the Blue Lodge. Now, one thing you have to understand about the Prince Hall Masons is they was never chartered by the Blue Lodge York Rite. They went to Europe and they got a charter to practice Blue Lodge Masonry with a Scottish Rite charter. That's called a cross knock, right? So the only way that we can figure this shit out, we need somebody to go into the Red Lodge now and get the secrets out of the Red Lodge. Well, everybody was scared of them motherfuckers because them is the meanest of the mean. You don't believe me? Go try to talk to Angel Bay. If you got any bitch in you, you gonna fold up. He ain't gonna say nothing. He's just gonna be looking at you. But if you got any bitch in you, you gonna fold up when you face that man. That's what I'm talking about. Now they got thousands of these niggas. So Noble Drew Ali joined the Moorish Zionist. Noble Drew Ali joined the Moorish Zionist Temple in New Jersey. Hey, they cutting me out. I don't know why they keep cutting me out, but Noble Drew Ali drugged the secrets out into the public domain. He told you that. I drug all of the secret societies' secrets out into the public domain. So the Boule, Steve Coakley give you a good description of them, but he don't never tell you who they talking to. They talking to the chiefs owning the land. Nipsey was extracted. He wasn't murdered. But it was a hit on Nipsey because he was going one-on-one with Mickey Mouse himself, the king of the rats, the king of the Moors. Right? And they put a hit on Nipsey because they couldn't fuck with his intellect. Since they put a hit on him, the Nation of Islam extracted him. It's just that simple. I'm not going into that story no more because I've told it too many times. But there was a hit on Nipsey. That's why LeBron is in LA. LeBron not in LA because he wanted to be in LA. They couldn't control him at home in Cleveland. That's why they moved him out there to LA. So he can be closer to their assassins and they can fake crash his motherfucking helicopter to get rid of his ass if he don't bump straight. According to they bump straight. They bump straight crooked than a motherfucker. You know, they want you to do some nefarious shit like fucking little boys and fucking little girls and shit in order to make sure they got some dirt on you. you know. So once Noble Drew Ali put the secrets in the public domain, once you had Dubois had to inject it through the Boule system. It's a system. The Boule is not, it's a system. It's a system of information exchange, the Boule. But the Boule system was put into the educational system by what they call the Brown Paper Bag Club of Negroes. The Brown Paper Bag Club was the light-skinned Negroes who would get preferential treatment, but they still wasn't feeling the massa, right? So they have to put the secrets where we can capture the secrets. Once we catch the secrets, then only the chiefs gonna know how to put this shit back together, right? So they use divide and conquer. Yep, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, and Jack threw her ass in that well and tied her up with 13 knots. That's the story of Muhammad, the praiseworthy one, the 13 knots. Yep, sellouts. Look, the sellouts is not necessarily the one who appears to be the sellout. Uncle Tom, if you read the book, they thought he was the biggest sellout there was, so most motherfuckers stopped reading the book. But if you finish the book, you discover Uncle Tom was the one who set that shit off. He was the most prepared to overthrow the system of slavery they was under, because he sat there close enough to the enemy to get the enemy to leak a few secrets here and there so he can put a puzzle together. Uncle Tom was the spook who sat by the door for the 1800s, right? And the Jedi is the Yoda. And Yoda is Judah. And Judah ain't a Jew. Judah ain't never been called Jew, right? And Judah, in short, is Jude. And Hey Jude was a song by the Beatles. And Hey Jude was on the same album as Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And the British invasion brought us a LSD, Lord Stone Disciple, unification knot off a Tavistock mind control program, and a secret to break it. And the secret to break the mind control is to smoke the ganja. This is why they be telling you in plain sight that they clearing out of Afghanistan, but they ain't talking about the Middle Eastern Afghanistan. They talking about where them Afghans smoke the gans, or I should say where them chiefs be chiefing. You can't mind control a marijuana smoker. It won't work. It's something about smoking marijuana that's totally incompatible with mind control. I had to look at, I don't know which young Pappy you talk about, because I know a few of them, like Pappy Mason, Papa Doc, you know, they called him Pappy, so I'm not sure who you're talking about. I had to look into the various ones or have a conversation to know which one you're talking about, right? Okay, so now once all the secrets was put into the public domain, they started a campaign, the government started a campaign to villainize what we call gangs, using something called television. And they done it with a series of productions called The Bowery Boys, West Side Story, shit like that. I haven't looked into that artist from Chicago, if that's what you're talking about, Mayo. Okay, so Larry is from Mississippi, right? And Angel Bay is from Mississippi. Both of them was born in Mississippi. I think Tookie came to California. His parents came before he was born. But the Mississippians is the ones that when the land is in total distress and disarray, the Mississippians is responsible for putting this shit back together, right? So you got 3 kings on the land, but the government, the artificial government that's masquerading as we the people, are actually a foreign corporate body, politic, meaning it's a political business. They books say all law is commercial. All law books are copyrighted in London, not in DC. That means that London owns the law. So who owns London? The Crown. If the Crown owns London and the books are all copyrighted in London and all law is commercial, it's a business institute in place of your actual and factual government. You have the de facto masquerading as the de jure in law. De facto mean we just acting the part. De jure mean we not actors. We the real motherfucking shit. Right? So as long as we believe that de facto is the fact, then we can't separate from the bullshit. All of these motherfuckers, Fauci, Biden, all the motherfuckers is puppets and masquerading, and as long as y'all follow their narrative, they control the story. As soon as you break away from their narrative, we control the story. Travis Scott didn't do the sacrifice. He was the sacrifice. He didn't do the sacrifice. He was the sacrifice. I'm going to say it again. Travis Scott didn't perform the sacrifice. He was the sacrifice. Even though he wasn't the one that got killed. He was the cover story, the fall guy. So who was behind it? Who bankrolled the concert? His girlfriend bankrolled the concert. Whose birthday was it on the same day this shit happened? His girlfriend mama birthday. What does his girlfriend mama get for her birthday? A blood right. She's 66. Right? It's a blood right. It's a blood ritual. 8 people to see the queen. And 66 flips to 99 on the turnaround in order for a 6-9 left, 6-9 right to balance this. So no, Travis Scott is not the one. This is supposed to be the creating or the making of his fall. He's marked for death at this point, whether y'all know it or not. They're gonna kill him after they make sure he's broke. If he don't get extracted or protected, they're gonna kill him after they make sure they got all his money. It's that simple. It's that simple. See, they never wanted y'all to know he tried to stop the concert and check on the people, so they kept that clip from hitting mainstream media. But it is what it is. He the sacrifice. And if they can't get him, they come in for Drake ass. And that's why Kanye want to make allegiance with Drake. He got to protect both of them brothers. Right? And they can't fuck with Kanye right now. There's some more shit going on with the clans on the land that y'all got to understand. They can't fuck with Kanye right now. He said, I've been trying to make them cancel me. They can't cancel me. It's a reason why they can't cancel him. They've been trying to make us think he crazy so we wouldn't pay him no attention. The gig is up. Now, the goal right now, all of the ones on the land who know we ain't come on no ships. Me, Rashad Jamal, Kali Amun, Kali, how you say his name? Kalai. He say his name Kalai. I be pronouncing his name Kali, but it's Kalai Amun Ra. Marvelous Marvin Fleming over there on Facebook. Sister Isis Wisdom, Rizza Islam. We the ones they shutting up, right? So if they want all of us to shut up, and we pretty much saying the same thing with different levels of receipts, right? You got Rizza Islam, he's going to CDC meetings, internal meetings, with a doctor's pass. And I don't know how he did that one, but he pulled it off. Yeah, we ain't come on no goddamn shit. Okay, young Pharaoh is a Hayoka. His job, when he get pissed off, is to harness the anger to sound like a stark raving lunatic. And in the anger, he is supposed to deliver messages to the chiefs on the land. That's it. They supposed to know he's angry, and they supposed to know when he's telling the truth versus when he's trying to point out an anomaly. I'm not gonna get too much into young Pharaoh because he got some more, what I would say, clowning to do. He got some more tantrums to throw in the public domain. Until this shit close, he got a couple more. He gonna keep doing it like on consistently. He gonna be consistently inconsistent with his consistent foolishness on purpose. He one of us, thug spirit, outlaws, motherfuckers that don't fit inside the judicial system of the United States, snakes of America. So as long as he's pretending or he's coming across as fucked up, we ain't got to the point yet for him to step out of the concealment. Right, because I mentioned Rashad Jamal earlier, and he was giving him a what you call a left bump. We give each other the left bump because we know who's gonna bump straight. And he needed to show people that when he came with the bullshit, Rashad Jamal was not going to participate in bullshit. So Rashad Jamal conveniently sidestepped that shit like he was supposed to. And that's what that was about. I can't just tell y'all everything because there's so many little things that I can't like the little shit. I can't attach all of the little pieces. When y'all ask me, then I can go into it and I start giving y'all more information. But a lot of this shit is not what it looked like on the surface. Y'all falling for the cover story instead of reading the book. The cover story is just a blank motherfucking book. Stop falling for the cover story. Read what's in the book. Learn your own culture. You'll know how we moving. In your face, we moving. We doing shit, but you not knowing what we doing. And we trying to pull your coat because as long as you stay ignorant, you stay oppressed and enslaved. As soon as you wise up, you break free. This is where we at with it. So in the Pan-African movement, when you trace it back to its origin, you're going to end up with Du Bois and Garvey. That's for a reason. That's to show you that on the surface, they fighting the same enemy, trying to solve the same problem using two different methods. Then you have the civil rights movement. You got to remember, there was a Christian named Vernon Johns that was the lead minister of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Church that Martin Luther King took over. They said they wanted him out because he was too militant, meaning too Malcolm. They would even tell him, you speak too much like Malcolm X. For a Christian, you need to change your religion or change your approach. So they replaced him with Michael, who became Martin. And Martin Luther was the name. They took that name after the Protestant rebellion from the Catholic Church. Right? That's right, sweetie. We finna untie these stakes. So once he met with Malcolm in D.C., Malcolm sent him to Elijah. This was the meeting they never wanted to see. I seen pictures of Martin sitting in Elijah's living room having a conversation. Who your cousin, sweetie? So Martin discovered that he was being used or misused. There's nothing wrong with being used. It's when you misuse that it's a problem. People always talking about, she used me. No, not used. Misuse. Because if you used for what you worth in your own proper context, that's a good thing. When you misuse, that means taking advantage of and putting the position out of context, that's a bad thing. So understand, oh yeah, Vernon Johns was the truth. And he was actually my mama cousin. He was my mama cousin too. Well, it was Becky, my cousin too. But they was related on her father's side, the Johns. My mother's last name was Johns all the way up until she married my father. Right. So I gave me a special interest in his case. Matter of fact, for those who want to know who he is, James Earl Jones played him in the movie about Vernon John. But I knew about him before I seen the movie. But I seen the movie years after it was made too. But I had learned about him studying Martin. I wanted to know what happened to the guy that preceded him. We just disappeared. They kicked him out of the church because he was too militant. So then he started. We might be, sweetie. Um, we traced back to Louisiana, right? The Johns. My grandfather, Hezekiah he from Macomb, Mississippi. That was his territory, and they divided his land up. Get out of here. Beulah, that was Aunt B, that was my mama's stepmother. So apparently we cousins on our motherfucker. So you gonna have to inbox me so we can put this shit all the way together. Cause Miss B was Aunt Betty's mother. Yep. So anyway, I'm gonna go back into this. So once we get into the 70s, Panthers moving now, right? This is when they start infiltrating what we call gangs. We was tribing up in the late 50s. My mother was what you call a outlaw vice lord biker on the west side of Chicago. This was before you had all of these spinoff groups. So they instituted a cultural thing that we do. It's called a razzle dazzle or a flea flicker in football. It's the same thing. Everybody got the ball. We in the huddle. Now scatter. We don't know who got the ball, but one of these niggas got the ball. So my mama sent cousins and sisters to California. She kept some in Chicago. She sent some stayed in Mississippi and Louisiana. Then she ended up moving to Michigan with my father. So this was to keep her sons out of the fray in the fight for power. Because there is no fight for power when we hear. We know where the power goes. We just gonna put it in the right place. If you make something work the way it's supposed to work, it'll last longer and work better than if you use it for something it wasn't meant for. You say your whole family from Macomb? Shit, that's a good chance we related. So there's a tribe of Mississippians called Shoshone. Too Short is tied to that tribe, and the tribal chief actually was my first girlfriend's father named Sonny Shaw. He was the chief, but he was here. Anyway, The Shaw clan is Shoshone, indigenous Americans. And the Washington family is the Washita. It's the same name changed to fit the English language. So if your last name is Washington, you're a Washita who is named after George Washington for conquering the Washita or Wichita. Wichita, Kansas was a stronghold, right? So now we starting to get to the Hall of Records. Now we starting to get to the Halls of Records. Once we get to the Hall of Records, they can't, that's it. So the records is kept. It's just, are we wise enough to get the records back? Leonard mean lion. My uncle named Leonard too, by the way. Oh, the Sparks. Yeah. So we got the Sparks up here. Sister Sparks and Brother Sparks. They got officers as they offspring up here in Pontiac. So the Sparks family come from down there. They Brother Sparks was a dog man. He was teaching me some dog stuff. Okay, so you want to know how to get the records. First of all, you got to know where the records at. The records is in the mountain. And the records is not just records, they what you call your trust documents. And this is where our money at. You have to be agreed to publicly declare ownership of the records as a tribal grid on the land. You have to have what you call historical works to verify your position. Dane Calloway, Malachi York have those indigenous works where they can say, I'm the grid on the land, and this is where our records is in just outside of Kansas City, Kansas. Right? So I talked about it on a Zoom call the other day, but what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to try to figure out how to post clips from it so y'all know exactly where the records is to the trust. When you get the records to the trust, is the records to the money. Because all of our wealth is held in the trust. And the trust is owned by the Catholic Church by papal bulls. When you understand which papal bulls, which I already went through that, but the papal bulls is what kept us separated from our family's wealth, what we call the royal coffers. The royal coffers is all this shit you seen in the museum that they said from Mexico and Egypt and Tibet. That's our shit. But the Catholic Church said we was imbeciles and non-functional chieftains, and therefore we did not have the ability to hold our own wealth. So they put us on an allowance plan, right? When they put us on the allowance plan, then we had to earn an allowance by working under a slave system until Master gave us a check at the end of the week. We never did that. In the indigenous land, every job was per diem, by the day or by the job. This job paid $400. When you're done, I'm going to give you $400, period. Or if it wasn't that way, it was, if you work with me today, I'm going to give you $400 for today's labor. Whatever we do, don't matter. At the end of the day, when you go home, I'm going to give you $400. No credits. Credit and debt is how they trapped us in slavery. Right? And they only did it using a penal system code of token and reward. What we think is money is not money. It's fiat, which means it's something somebody said had value, but it has no value. So Jones is also Johns, and the Johns, they are kindred clans. Jones and Johns is the same last name in the indigenous language. It's just split in English to tell you that y'all two different people. It's also Jonas, Jonas, and by blood linkage, you are Johnsons, right? The sons of John, and Jones sons, which is the sons of Joneses, and all of these names. Our culture is tied up in the last names because they couldn't just take it, right? The last name I got from my father, Hayes, is really a short form of Hayoka. And it's pronounced in the indigenous tongue as Haya. So when you hear them dancing around the fire saying, hey, hey, they calling for the Hayoka priests, right? But they can't call for a Hayoka priest unless they call for him a counterpart, right? So now you were seeing why they were saying it's a voodoo song, oh yeah, yemaya, oh yeah, yemaya. It's the old songs. It's all of our shit. The tailors were the families that made clothes. There was a whole priesthood of tailors. They was literally tailors. That's what they did as a profession. The Brown clan originate in what you call the Northwest Territory in the Ohio Valley. That's why the Native American Cleveland is named after his name Cleveland Browns is because they are Ohio tribe from the Northwest Territories. The cannons were part of a military contingent who literally controlled the cannons. Now the cannons in Chicago are a group of boosters, or what we would call them in Eurocentric, they thieves, but they only steal high-end shit, like cars and boats and shit. But the cannons don't play. Them the wrong motherfuckers to fuck with. And yep, I got people in Yazoo, Mississippi. Oh, John Sally know what's up. He know what's up with the fam. I didn't see him talk about it before. He know he want us. Same as Isaiah Thomas. He keep telling these motherfuckers we ain't come on no ship. Look, freelance specialists, we don't care how hard it takes us to get our shit back as long as we're willing to fight for it. We ain't backing down. We don't expect them motherfuckers to go easy and give it up easy, because if it was easy, it'd have been done already. Yeah, any movie you see with a museum scene, listen. Everything in the museum scene is telling you something about your history. Everything in the museum movie. Any movie got something to do with a museum. It's a secret in there about your history. Look, all of the Freedom of Information Act request is asking your enemy to give you your shit. They're only going to give you what they want you to have. But when you understand the divine right of kings, and all you have to do is identify the location of your records, you just captured your records. And this is by the grandfather clause. This is the law that they can't usurp. It's the laws of Mott. The ancient code of kings is written out of the laws of Mott, based off the laws of nature. Right? We codified it in Kemet, in the Mississippi Delta, in the Azteca pyramids, in the Mayan pyramids. We codified that shit. We wrote it down so that in case something happened where we lost it, we can find it. So it's still there. It's in the hieroglyphics. The whole story is there. Debt is the gun, credit is the bullet. Speak that shit. Yep, monopoly money. Yeah. So Charles is the last name Charles that's the Virginia clans. And study Charleston, Virginia, how it got its name, and you would trace your clan back to how they got overthrown. Credit is the bullet, discharge is the gun. Speak that shit. Yep. So I got blessed in on the godmother knock off of Miss Thompson, who was out of Tupelo, Mississippi. Anybody last name Ivory comes from a matriarchal clan, and the ivory is the symbol for the elephant. The Carters are the ones who used to own the buggies. Y'all would be taxi drivers in this era. I'll put it that way. I'm going to save this live. I'm about done. I'm just going through here and making sure it's like the Colemans. The Colemans were actual miners who have first right to all of the coal wealth generated on the land since we've been in bondage. It's all accounted for. All of the coal that's been sold is going to be y'all family wealth. The Brooks come from the Creek Indian tribe as a spinoff. That's why they call it a brook, because it's a creek. And the Creek and the Cree are related tribes, but they different tribes because they had different tribal leadership at different times. The Tucker clan is an old clan. It goes way back. And the Tucker automobile was shut down because he was a mulatto related to the Tucker clan, and they wasn't allowing us or anybody related to us to come up with their own shit. The Murrays came from Ireland in a student exchange program under the orders of Queen Scala. I don't know every name off the top of my head, but it wouldn't take me long to figure a lot of them out. So if I don't mention the name that you bring up that I see, is because that one ain't on the top of my head. But if something stand out, or if somebody tell me to tell them, then I'll speak on it. So the Jenkins clan were kindred to what we call the genies or the jinn. The genies were a group of women who controlled the fire element. They was firebenders. That's all. All that Islamic perturbability and over sensationalism of the jinn, and you can't figure the jinn out. It's some bullshit. The genies were magicians. And they call one of the genie by itself is a jinn. That's it. They could grant wishes because they control desire of the heart. It's just that simple. And the desire is the fire that they control. Tim Marie, Rick James, Fire and Desire. McCullen is also one of the names from the Orisha or the Irish. Everybody from the land, on the land, is related. It's not if we all related. We all related, except for the invaders. But we even related to them now, because we amalgamated with the invaders too, because they tried to steal our birthright using amalgamation and misdirection as the method, but it didn't work, because we know who we is. The Hawkins is it's a tribal totem of the hawk, right? The burrow was the tribal totem of the ass. And the ones whose last name was Burroughs, what they clan's responsibility was to transport large quantities of basically the moving company. The Porter family used to be the ones who controlled the waterways coming into land, the ports. The Porters were the ones who loaded and unloaded ships, and they also traveled on trains. That was a family business, so to speak. So once your family, like let's say the blacksmiths, they got iron. Anybody that's into any kind of smelting fall under the blacksmith. So let's say you are a gold smelter and you're a goldsmith. The oldest of the two is the blacksmith. So the blacksmith can honor or dishonor a goldsmith's position based off their skill set. So let's say that a goldsmith come to town, but he have no relatives that can okay him to become a certified goldsmith in his land. He can go to the blacksmith. The blacksmith who got a leader, a tribal leader, can validate him. Because he's an older clan, he can validate the goldsmith as a smelter once he see his work. So he got to show him what he can do, and then he can say, this is a goldsmith for real. He a real goldsmith. Now, he not going to write this shit down nowhere, but he going to introduce you to the family. That's enough. We ain't write that shit down. We introduced you to the family. Now, Big Mama wrote it in the book. We call it the Book of Life, but Big Mama got it in the book. It's in her book. The Clay family were potters. They also related to the Potters. The Holmes family were drop the L. Tell me what y'all did. The Holmes family were Holmes family, which means they were realtors on the land. That means that each Big Mama in each area had somebody come from the Holmes family in order to show us the new home designs that's on the market, how we build our homes, the material. And Big Mama call in somebody in her family and say, this is the homes you're studying under so we can build these houses. So the Walker clan were nomads. That's why they called walkers, because they was walking everywhere they went. Now remember, I'm not going to have them all on top of my head right now. So the ones that I do, I'm just spitting them out. I'm trying to get to the end of the question so I could wrap this shit up. Black Panther is the totem animal for the priesthood on the land to recover the land from the enemy, period. And the worst motherfucker that they don't ever want to call is what they call the gorilla clan, the Congo clan. And the Congo over here is called the Mississippi Basin. We Mississippians. You don't have to find all your family origins. You're gonna have a family reunion on the flip side of this shit, and you're gonna automatically know where to go. Yeah. So look, I gotta get off here. I gotta go in here and talk to my little brother. So you're right. He said I keep telling people they have banks still kept in their name connected to those credit lines. And the Social Security number is the bank account number, what they call an international bank number minus the hyphens, and you can check, and you will blow your own self back when you find out how much you got in your personal account. Yeah. So I think I covered for the most part. So the theme of this is they ain't tricking us no more. Class has been in session. We done told these motherfuckers that we know who we is and where our shit at. Now, when I go back over the culture with Dane Calloway, whenever he reach out to me, I'm gonna tell him exactly where the record's at and what he's supposed to do is degree it. He don't need to be approved by nobody but us. All we got to do is say we agree. That's it. That's how we roll. So I'm gonna wrap it up from here, and I wish these comments would have saved in here because y'all got some good comments in here. Oh, he brought up the Wilmington massacre. Anytime they tell you your family was wiped out in the massacre, it means either two things. Either your family is the family that's the imposter stealing somebody's birthright, or they stealing your birthright. We know who we are. So this gives you that take you a long way. Right? So with that, I'm looking here, somebody got some questions in here. The Graysons, those who are from the Grayson line or gray line, come out of the cold weather. That's called being on the gray. They normally ran lighthouses. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'm gonna save it. I'm surprised I was able to get this much in, and I'm gonna make sure it's saved though, so y'all can come back to it. All right. So peace. Tell them all we ain't come on no ships. We not buying the bullshit, and we out of here. We taking our shit back. That's just simple as that. Yeah. All right, fam. So I hope I was of some service and some help to y'all.